Hi guys, I'm Cameron. I just read comics. I love them. Welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. On today's episode, I'm talking about Nightwing Annual 2025, number 1. Let's get into it. So, just first and foremost, I'm not subscribed to Nightwing currently, and I think I'm regretting that decision now. Dan Waters, Dexter Soy are currently writer-artist combo on the run. Once Tom Taylor's Nightwing run ended, and with all the other titles that were coming out in the All-In initiative for DC, I was like, I just don't need to subscribe to all of these. The first issue, I believe I read the first 2 issues, they were really great. But I couldn't subscribe. You know, it's a budget issue, and DC, you're doing so great. The other fun fact, the other series I feel that way about is Green Arrow by Chris Condon and Montos. Everything you guys have seen, I've been reading a bunch of Chris Condon, and I'm like, oh wow, cool. Like, I'm not reading this Green Arrow book that everyone's saying is amazing. Same thing with this Nightwing book. But when I heard this annual was coming out, it had art by Francesco Francavilla, who is incredible. Just look at that cover. If you like Jorge Fornes, just on par. Francesco Francavilla also did the art for what I call the most underrated Batman story, Batman Black Mirror, with Jock. I was like, okay, let me go pick up this annual. I don't think it's going to be a story related to the current ongoing run. And I wasn't completely correct. There is a little bit of, cross in, tie over what's happening in the Nightwing book, and then how is that affecting like this one-shot story. Because usually you can pick up an annual, it's just going to be a one-shot story. But for this one, I picked it up because there was a lot of like marketing images that, images that were like, ooh, that makes me really want to look into that. Without going too far into depths of spoilers, this story particularly is a nod to a lot of things. And the reasons I pick it up is it is the first page and a lot of references to Frederick Wortham's Seduction of the Innocent trials, which are basically trials in the 50s, the 40s, where they thought comics were too problematic. They thought that Batman and Robin had a problematic like sexual relationship. Wonder Woman kept getting bound and tied up, and they thought that there was so much more like sexual adult innuendo in comic book stories, and they were not preserving the moral values of the United States at the time. By this hokey psychiatrist, Frederick Wortham, who wrote this book, and basically that heralded the Comics Code Authority stamp of approval. Effectively, your book was not going to be purchased by kids. It wasn't going to be allowed to be purchased by kids if it didn't have the Comics Code Authority stamp. You've seen it at the beginning of the Spider-Verse movies. This story references that. It also references the Gray Ghost, which is one of the most popular episodes of the Batman animated series. The idea is the Gray Ghost is Batman's influence. It was like Saturday morning cartoon and comic book character that he watched, and it gave him the idea to become Batman. This does a little bit of revisionist history and creates Wonder Boy. So you literally just see how it all ties in. And this isn't spoiler because it's a marketing image. Literally, it is a court case trial talking about how this is smut, Gray Ghost and Wonder Boy. It ties into what's going on in the Nightwing book because I don't know who the villain's name is, but there is the Cirque du Sin. And so this guy is the big bad, and he's some sort of circus character. And the book explores these trials and Wonder Boy being a circus character, and then leading into the idea that superheroes and modern superheroes have taken away the wonder and the magic that was the circus. Because the circus was a place where you can go and there would be a strong man and there would be a bearded woman and there would be these things that surpass reality. People being superheroic and living and existing in our moral world, trying to uphold the standard for good, is a problem. It goes against what the circus was about, and it is a new circus. that's kind of what this issue is about, or like that's an idea that it goes into. You know, it follows Olivia Pierce and some of our other Nightwing characters. Nightwing, actually, spoiler, does not appear in this issue, really, until the very end, which is okay with me. I'm like, give me a background. That's what annuals are a lot of the time. Talks about Olivia Pierce and her origin, who's a character I don't know. I haven't seen her around in this run. I also haven't been reading this run, but it gives you enough context clues, and it distances itself enough from the current ongoing, like, happenings in the ongoing title that you can just kind of like follow this story and touch base on a little bit of comic book history, touch base on a little bit of Great Ghost action and how that influenced this world. And there's a great exploration into writer-artist relationships with the public and like how a comic book shop works. So I liked it a lot. I think everyone should go pick it up. If you're just looking for a good old, like, hey, here's a new Nightwing story, here's a great freaking artist, that's half the reason I picked it up. And Dan Watters, if you're not reading Batman Dark Patterns, is the reason you should be reading this book. So those were all the reasons that I picked up this title. And it didn't disappoint. I'm kicking myself for not subscribing to Nightwing, and now I have probably like 12 issues. I'm 12 issues behind, but that's okay. I'll read it when it's all wrapped up, and once Batman Dark Patterns is wrapped up too, I'll figure out what I'm gonna do with Dan Watters after that. But yeah, there's my review of Nightwing Annual 2025 #1. My name's Cameron. I just read comics. I love them. If you read it, let me know what you thought. And see you next time.